Welcome to Imperfect Momming. Our children are constantly looking to us for examples. The term role model doesn't quite cut it here. We are shaping their worldview with every move we make. You see, it's not in the lectures we give or moments where we are actively attempting to teach them. It's in the micro movements we make, the unconscious ways in which we navigate life. We are constantly teaching our children how to show up for themselves, their friends, their future partners, and even their future children. So what can we do to ensure we are raising thoughtful, compassionate, self-aware human beings? We have to become them ourselves. No one is perfect, but we can still all be better, and it starts with self-healing. Let's get to it. Welcome to our second official community and coffee and coaching, right? I think that's what we're calling it for now until we have a better name. But if you're listening on the podcast, welcome to the Imperfect Momming podcast. Melanie and I are here today. We are creating this this community for you to have your questions answered and be part of a larger tribe.
Hi, everybody. Yes, so Melanie here as well. And Alicia and I have really been talking about this, you know, the old African proverb, which is, it takes a village to raise a child. And, you know, for those of us around the world, we're not growing up or not raising children, or many of us are no longer in those sort of natural tribal communities where everybody's together and the whole village is there. And, you know, so we really have been thinking about what does it take to raise a child in today's day and age. And when we are going to be in a global community, so, you know, there's all different types of ways people are living and how it looks. But for many of us, and for those of us in the United States, it can be very, very isolating. And so we were even just talking about, for, again, those of us in the United States right now, you know, it's just so different around the world. But in the US, a lot of kids, particularly in California, where we are going back to school this week. And so we kind of wanted to focus on that and focus on the transition of what that looks and feels like for both the kids and for the parents. And Alicia actually had something happen yesterday that she was telling me about. And I said, okay, let's chat about that this morning.
Yeah. So my son, Xander, has been actually kind of nervous about starting middle school. They're starting, his school goes 6th, 7th, and 8th for middle school, which I think is pretty typical. And then junior high is supposedly 7th and 8th. I don't know. But he's been in tears multiple times about going back to school. And a lot of it stems from, I think I've talked about this on a podcast, it stems from some kids who were bullying him on the bus. And that was going on for about a month before he told me about it. And the reason it started bothering him to the point where he told me about it is he realized that the kids that were bullying him were from the middle school. And so that made middle school a much scarier place. Not to mention Diary of a Wimpy Kid is all about the drama that happens inside middle schools. And so it's really, you know, for drama purposes, they over exaggerate everything that goes on in middle school and all the relationship problems that you have, and, you know, the teacher problems you have. And so, but that's his idea of what junior high is. So I had to give a little bit of backstory, but I was in the parking lot of the store, and my phone sent me, I got a notification from the school starts tomorrow, exclamation point. And so I looked at it and I said out loud, school starts tomorrow. And Xander said, why do you have to keep reminding me? And there was a lady walking behind us, and she said, because parents are excited that school is going back to, coming back, or starting tomorrow. And when you're an adult and you're a parent, you'll understand why. And it got me thinking about, like, I'm actually not excited. I wasn't like waiting with bated breath for, like, counting down the days for school to start. But the year before, last year, I think I was. And it just feels different this time. Like I'm sad that I don't get to hang out with him all day anymore. And, that means the water park, no more water park. And it means, lots of finding different activities. And it wasn't like, yes, I'm going to be free. It was like, oh, we're going to have less time to hang out.
And so I think parents, thank you, Elish, for all of that. And I think a lot of parents, I mean, I've certainly spoken to some of my clients, and there's a lot of mixed reactions. Some parents are feeling maybe not necessarily excited. Maybe one that I'm thinking of in particular is probably a little excited. And, what I'm hearing is definitely a lot of relief. There's definitely relief that's coming up in the equation of this. And so, and then of course, what you're describing, which is sadness. And so I just wanted to, when Alicia was telling me about this, we were unpacking it and really just talking about the feelings that are coming up for us as parents, as our kids transition back to school. My son is going to be, he's in a different program and he starts in 2 weeks. And it's a little bit different for me because I'm divorced, and I was with him last week, and then this week rather, he's with his dad. And so there's just a lot of change going on and a lot of transition that's happening. And so just allowing for all of these feelings to come up. And I just, given the foundation that you were talking about with Dara, a wimpy kid, what went through my head is normally we really want our kids to read, but then we're like, wait, maybe there's some books we don't want them to read. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of being facetious and joking, but yes.
No, I agree with you on that. Like when, I watched the Diary of Wimpy Kid movies, and I've read some books with him. And I just, from a parenting perspective and seeing what's happening now, like how I was never excited about the title of that book. Like, it celebrates something that I don't align with, it feels like it's celebrating something that I don't align with. And then when you watch the movies, that kid's kind of a twerp, and and he's exuding like qualities that I don't want my son to pick up on, and it all resolves and it all works out in the end. But we learn how to behave by watching and reading, and not just by how we teach them to behave.
Yeah, and the messages that come in. I mean, even think about the title of that book, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Like, we could have a whole other, we should, I don't know what the word is there, have a whole other title on that, because I don't want to be taken too far off on the tangent. But the reality is, I think part of what I'm really present to, Alicia, and what I was asking you when we were speaking about this, and I said to you, what's the difference for you? Like, why last year were you excited, and what is it this year that's why you're not excited? And actually the feeling that's more present for you is sad than rather the relief or the sadness. And I don't want to speak for you, but You know, I don't want to speak for you, but I am speaking for you, because we did do our workshop this past Saturday. And one of the things that I do want to celebrate you for and applaud you for is, you know, we were talking to the parents that we were teaching this weekend about how important it is. Like, it's imperative, it's critical for us to get the skills and the learning and the tools. And that's something you have been so intentional about this, particularly this past year, I think. I mean, you've been doing it for years and years, but I know even just from the discussions you and I have had about you wanting to learn more, the podcasts that you've been doing, the people that you've been interviewing, and ultimately our kids are getting these messages about who to be, how to behave, what is acceptable, what isn't acceptable from everywhere, just like we are as parents. And so I think it comes down to, you know, what is it to raise an enlightened child? What does it take? And I would say the most important ingredient is for us to really raise enlightened selves, right? For us to become more aware of who we are and how we're showing up in the world and what we need to do as parents for ourselves first, so that we can be more present to and accepting of who our children truly are, and then truly be able to tap into what it is we're experiencing, what it is we're feeling, and then truly genuinely tap into who they are and what it is they need by listening more, by understanding more.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for speaking for me.
Absolutely. Anytime, my love, you know, I'm always good for that, right?
Yeah.
Did I summarize it well, though?
You did. And that, I mean,
Okay.
I agree with everything that you said. And you know, if the workshop on Saturday was Calm the Chaos, and Melanie did an amazing job of teaching about how our brain works and how our children's brains are, like, we're the external brain for them, for, you know, at the very minimum until they're 18, but girls don't even fully develop until 24 and boys until 28. And it's important for us to understand all of that. And our next workshop is going to be about how to stay in more of a calmer zone. And that's the difference between last year and this year, is that in this last year, I've been incredibly intentional about my own self-care and what I need to feel in balance, to feel not overwhelmed. And it's a practice for sure. It's a trial and error. I've tried many different things, and I don't, you know, I'm always going to continue to evolve the routine and what I do, because I'm constantly evolving. But last year, I think that I was in a different space where maybe some of his behavior got on my nerves a lot quicker. And like right now where he's at, I'm really just enjoying this little human that he's becoming. Well, he is a little human, but like this like his personality, he's really just a joy for me to be around. And he still does all the same things that I called annoying a year ago, but I'm in a better place. And when I respond to him differently, then we don't have battles because of how I respond to him. And I like peace. Which is why I do peace assessments, because I want to increase the peace in people's lives.
Yes, thank you, my love. And, you know, one of the things you did say to me, well, I just want to just present what you said about what we discussed regarding like brain development, and what I had said is when you said girls don't fully develop, and it's, you know, it's approximate, it's not exact, but it's really the frontal lobe, just to be a little more accurate, like the frontal lobe in the brain doesn't fully develop or come online until girls are 24 and boys are 28, right? And so one of the things you also mentioned this morning was about, you know, you said you really wanted to enjoy him because you know that the teen toot is coming.
Right.
And, you know, that actually, I think, is something that we kind of future trip, right? We kind of are bracing ourselves for something that's going to happen. And I'm currently parenting a 17-year-old boy. And I feel the same way about him that you do about your 11-year-old. Does that mean it's perfect and he never does things that I wish would be different, or, you know, but as I continue to really focus on me and what my job is as a parent of a teenager, and stop. What I was going to say, the words that were going to come out of my mouth were, and stop trying to control him, because that, I think, is what I did more when I had younger kids. Like there was more of that. Like I actually had the illusion that I was able to do that. And I've shifted tremendously in my parenting. And I continue to evolve, and I continue to learn, and I continue to use the tools, but really understanding this developmental stage, and understanding, just like we try and understand what the toddler tantrums are, or, you know, what our kids are tantruming from, or what our teens are giving us attitude from. These are just human behaviors. I mean, I'm still tantruming or tooting as an adult, right? As is my partner, as are my friend, whatever. Like these are just human traits. And the more we can really like understand that and accept that human, which is what going back to what I was saying in the beginning, the more we can accept that human for who they are. Like we don't get to choose our kids. I mean, I do believe on a more metaphysical level, our kids choose us and we choose our parents, but we won't go into that topic right now. But it's not like a friend or a partner that we actually choose. Our kids are who they are, and they come to us as who they are. And so really tuning in and listening to them, understanding them, and taking that time to do that allows them to then evolve and become who they are, and not who we just necessarily want them to be. So
Like,
I'm not sure, Elise, I'm not really looking at the time if we have anybody live with us, but the goal for these communities is that going forward, as people are joining us, what we're actually going to be doing is keeping these teaching portions shorter, and then stopping the recording of the video and going live so that people can actually come in and then share. You know, what are your celebrations? What have you done this week that have felt good? And or what concerns or questions do you have, so that we can support you as we go through this journey, this parenting journey together.
yeah. And I do see we have one of our group members is watching live. So I'll put the link in the chat for anybody else that wants to join. But I also want to just say one last thing, and then we can wrap up the podcast version of this recording. And, you know, you were saying that we catastrophize what the future and the teen toots and all that kind of thing. And, you know, ultimately that's what Xander was doing about junior high. And, you know, I reminded him when we went to register him a week ago, we had missed orientation, and that, you know, sent him into a spiral too. So we missed orientation, and we went in the next day to pick up stuff that he would have gotten. And I reminded him then, just like I reminded him today, that, you know, things seem a lot scarier. Like if you're at the bottom of a roller coaster or the bottom of a water slide, and you're looking up, it's huge, and you're like this big compared to its size, right? And it's scary because you don't know what's coming next. You don't know if it's safe. You don't know if you're going to fly off, the the ride. But once you're there at the top and you go down, like, you realize that it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. In fact, it was kind of fun and you want to do it again. So I thought that was a nice way of wrapping up the thought today. So we will have there will be another podcast episode on Thursday coming out. We will have another community and conversation for you all next week, and you are welcome to join us. We start at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We go live in our Raising Enlightened Children Facebook group. And if you're not a member, join. And if you are a member, join us on Zoom after we do our lesson. So any final words, Melanie?
No, I just want to say, thank you. And for everybody that is transitioning this week, that, I just wish you love and light and a lot of peace in the transition, and know that if there is challenge, that it's also normal.
And until we meet again, keep healing. Bye, guys.
Keep healing.
Thank you for tuning in to Imperfect Momming. It's time for us to step up and realize that our power is not in trying to shape our children. Our power lies in shaping ourselves into the people we want our children to model themselves after. Don't just do it for your kids. Do it for yourself. When you become a more self-aware, compassionate, and confident person, you and everyone around you benefit. For more information about me and my work, visit alicialyons.com. That's ALYSIALYONS.com. See you next time.